So with that, I guess it's time that we get started. I hope everyone can see the slides and all. If not, put it on chat and we will fix that. But the topic is for today is employee communications, and we are very, very excited to present you on that. So for anyone who is new to academies, let me just start by introducing what to expect. So these are sessions that the product team does for you. It's a safe place to ask questions. We have a lot of experts from the product and the engineering team joining these calls. So please ask your questions and interact with us. We don't want to make this a webinar. This is scheduled as a webinar, but this is not a webinar presentation. This is a time when we will be actually in the product live, doing live configurations, answering your questions, your issues live, and demonstrating that live in the session. So we try to keep the slide portion limited. And there's a reason for it because we want it to be completely real. And we do these sessions every month. This month we have it on employee communications. Next month we have it on service catalog and knowledge management, which are core part of Employee Center as well. Now, the thumb of rule to remember is that we do these every third Wednesday of the month. And if you should have a recurring calendar for this, you are registered for these sessions. Once you register for all the session, but make sure you have the invites added in your calendar so you have the time blocked. And the invites come from Zoom. So make sure you accept it and add it to your calendar. In terms of logistics, we will be monitoring the Q&A panel. So I definitely encourage you to put your questions in Q&A. We will also be using chat for collaboration. You will see in our session today that we have some questions that we want you to contribute towards, and we will be using chat for that. But by all means, please post your questions in Q&A and try to post your Q&A related questions in the Q&A panel, and chat is just for comments. And don't worry about taking notes. The slides as well as the video will be shared. The video goes on YouTube. The slide, the Q&A that we'll have in the session today, as well as the video recording, will be available on the Employee Center community. All right. We'll share the links for community. You will see a lot of rich material on the community page, as well as it's linked to additional materials like the ones that we have mentioned on this slide, which is a Now Learning course on Employee Center, Now Create Assets, which will help you self-implement, and as well as link to the YouTube playlist for Academy and all the previous sessions that we have had. So the community link will be an important one. Now, getting into the meat. Our session today is on employee communications. So think of employee communications as a use case, as something that you want to do on the portal, and how we will support it with Employee Center, or how we do currently support it with Employee Center is the focus today. And not to steal Corey's thunder, but we will also be talking about something that is upcoming in our November release. So let's begin with some introductions. My name is Pooja Gupta. I'm an staff outbound product manager with our Unified Employee Experience team. And I'm joined with two and actually more of my amazing colleagues. I'll hand it over to Corey. Corey, you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Corey Lehman. I'm a product manager on the employee experience team, and my focus is on a communications product we call Content Experiences. So I'll get more into that in more detail very shortly. But glad to be here. Thanks to all of you for joining.
Thanks, Corey. Yeah, he's amazing. You will hear a lot of fun stuff. So hold on to that.
I bribed her to say that, by the way.
Rohan, you want to say hi quickly as well? Corey, I think we don't have Rohan yet joined, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. But Rafa can probably step in for Rohan if needed.
Yes.
Not to put him on the spot, but yeah.
Of course.
Awesome. Rafa, you want to just quickly introduce yourself? He's an amazing engineering representative that we have over here.
Sure, of course. So my name is Rafa Legares. I'm the dev manager for the employee experience team, and I'm very happy to be here with all of you today.
Thank you so much, Rafa. So for all the attendees, we have a great forum. So please don't forget to ask your questions. The agenda, we will start with just a small discussion on what is employee communications for you, why is it important for you, and then we will dive deep into how we support employee communications with Employee Center Base as well as Employee Center Pro. Employee communications is a core part of Employee Center Pro, so you will see a heavy focus on the Employee Center Pro side of the discussion today. All right, let's start. So the way we want to define employees communications, or based on our research, we are currently defining employee communications is that employee communications is a proactive reach out to employees to inform them about something, to engage them on certain activity that must be happening in the organization, and to drive action on their part. So there are different tasks that the organization would want the employee to do, either for their journey aspect, either for some policy or whatever. They the action part of it is a key element of actually why we want to do communications. So why is this important? Because ultimately you are serving employee needs. I'll give you an example that one of the customers shared. This was a return to workplace. So, like post COVID, they wanted employees to come back to the office, but there were a lot of different tasks that the employee needed to complete before they get into the office. And what was happening was without an effective communication, they saw that a lot of people reached to the office but had not finished and were having to be sent back. Um, how can we avoid that? Is a key part of why we need to do communications. So serving employee needs that they need to finish something before they go somewhere else. Building an organization culture, like the communications, the messages that we send, is a key part of the culture that we are creating in an organization. And also driving change. Communications are super critical in that. And when I'm saying communications, it could be something as simple as informing employees about an outage and like giving them the information they need on like what that means for that particular individual and what other options they have, to something like running a campaign to get employees to enroll for an activity or an event in the organization, or to something even like you have a new company strategy, new company mission, and you want to have a whole communication campaign around it so employees are on board, aware of it, and so on. So it can be anything from this simple use case to a complex communication, organizational change related activity. Now, this is how we have been thinking about Employee Center. Let me turn the table and ask you, and please put your thoughts on the chat. The question is essentially, why is employee communications important for you? And we can keep the definition that it is a proactive reach out to employees for whatever. But why is it important to you? And is that something that you focus on currently?
Yeah, and I'll just add, a little color or flavor for why this is important to us, because we continually strive to build features based on customer feedback. And one of the areas that's really interesting about communications is it's almost like a no-brainer where, informing employees certainly makes the employee base, more engaged and happier and loyal. Like we see that and we hear that over and over. But one of the things we don't get a whole lot of insight into is why is communication so important from a business or organizational perspective, like even down to like profit, how you measure whether your employee base is performing better. Is it retention? Is it employees giving feedback, improving feedback to the organization from employees when they're more informed? So we're really looking for that kind of like what is the secret sauce for your organization that makes communication so important? To the bottom line.
So I'm seeing some messages on like it's required. So there is consistency of message, there is engagement, connectedness, participation, um, need to reach employees when there are important events, avoid confusion, align efforts, increase adoption, being informed effectively and efficiently to further understand your audience.
Yeah, these all sound absolutely the kinds of feedback we need. I'm curious, is anyone willing to come off mute and just talk about their efforts and the importance of communications? Big gold star to whoever wants to come off mute and break the ice. Not required. We won't call anyone out, but all right. Well, I guess we can still give gold stars even if no one come off mute. Oh,
Okay, so they're not
Are we able? Are they able to come off mute?
We'll check that in the background. I have.
Okay, maybe not. No worries. Okay, I guess
okay.
It's set up as a webinar.
Okay, they should be able to raise hands. So, okay. Anyway, I do want to, raise hands if you can, and then we will see if we can unmute you. We would love to see some participation, and like would love to make it engaging. I do want to ask one more thing. Like, what happens if you don't communicate? So we are hearing a lot about like it will drive belonging, it will drive alignment to culture, but imagine you don't do the communication well. What will happen to your business?
Yeah, I would love that, and to know kind of what the metric is that tells you you're getting it right. Like how does the business measure when you're getting it right versus you're getting it wrong?
Hello, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, yes. There we go.
Hi, yeah, this is David from Dallas College in Texas. Well, if the lack of communication is probably in previous instances and iterations I've been with, pretty much can create silos. Though that's one thing we probably want to avoid, because when you have silos of organization, they have their own processes and we don't know what they do. And then eventually it will cause the break in the overall process, because you're going like, okay, I do my thing because that's how I do things, but you do your thing and my process doesn't jive with your process because I don't talk to you. And next thing you know, you don't do it because you go, hey, it's not my process, not my problem. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, considering now we're global, right? Everything, we have to be uniform and unified, so that way we can actually work together and have a good communication chain.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, David, for coming off mute. That's fabulous. This is why we love these sessions. We learn so much from you guys. And that's what drives our roadmap, our product features, and just making sure that we're dialed into what our customers need is super important. So we appreciate you coming off mute and giving us your thoughts.
Another story. Hi, Pooja. Another idea that I've had is from the portal perspective. They get notified that there's a town hall meeting, and not everybody can attend the town hall meeting. And what would be good is to use this as a means to share the important points of the outcome of the town hall meeting, and then to allow people to give feedback like they would in a knowledge article, and also allow them to be anonymous, for protection of fear of, oh, I don't want, to get in trouble, so to speak, but have that ability as well through the portal. And the portal is always there because you sign in every day and it pops up on the top of the screen and it says, hey, we'd like to get your input for what's happened at the town hall. You didn't make it. Here's what's going on. So I think it's really nice for a company to collaborate in that fashion. Thank you.
Very cool. That was a great use case.
Yep.
Really good one. Yeah. And we definitely doable. Definitely doable with our platform.
Yep. We'll touch upon that briefly
Yeah.
soon. So I'm seeing a lot of metrics around NPS, trust, and credibility around manager and leadership. So those are some really big metrics when it comes to like employee retention. Um, I would take it to the level that your employees are more productive if they can do their job better if they trust their leadership and are satisfied in their role and less frustrated. So thank you so much for this. If there are any other thoughts, please do put on the chat, and we will definitely monitor it. But in the interest of time, we're going to go forward. So Lillian, I think you mentioned this. Um, Communications must meet where employees are. Employees are visiting on the portal, they are on their phone, they're constantly monitoring emails, and they're also on other platforms like chat, like MS Teams or some other conversational interface like Slack. So communications must meet all of these. And we have different solutions for all of these, but for the conversation today, we're going to focus on portal. And it portal being the central place where employees go for help is one of the most important channels for making this communication. So let's start with just what we have. So I'm pretty sure everyone is familiar. There are two packages with Employee Center. One is the base, one is the pro. I'm going to start with just the base, what is possible with the base, and then Corey is going to dive deeper into what is possible with Pro. You will see a big difference in both these. Every single customer is able to deploy Employee Center base is something that I wanted to highlight too. So with the base functionality, we have what we call portal announcements as the main way to make the communications. You can see in the screenshot here, there is a banner on top that is placed. This banner can be red, yellow, whatever color you want. It can have like different icons and everything. And you can actually post some main communication that you want to make as part of this banner. It could be like, have you done this XYZ thing, or there's an outage, or please be aware that offices are opening, or whatever. So you can have that notification customized, like tell the messages that you want to message, and it's an important place. It's like really in your face that this is happening. Then at the same time, we also have a announcements widget, which in the screenshot over here, I've placed it on the top. You can place it anywhere in the portal. And I can actually show this in a live instance. Corey, is my screen visible?
It is, yep.
Okay, awesome. So let me just go. And someone was asking whether this is all on Tokyo or San Diego. We are currently on Tokyo, but these functionalities are available, the one that I'm showing on San Diego as well. So you can actually place an announcement widget, which gives you the announcement that you're making. You can link it with an external page, and you can have multiple of these announcements made. Sorry, I had linked it to a systems page and it clicked on that. There are other ways. So this is a most obvious way to make the announcement. There are other ways that you can actually highlight the communications that one might want. One of the not so proactive way is to actually make sure you have a knowledge article that talks about the communication, and you can link that knowledge article in the quick links. So it is again front and central for the employee when they're logging in the portal and getting that information. Beyond that, you can always do fancy things like use the data metrics that data centric widgets that we have. For example, there's a current status widget which tells you if there are any outages and all that. So you can take a little bit of data driven approach to make a particular kind of communication, and beyond that you can customize it. So in nutshell, on the employee center base, the portal announcements is the key way to make the communications. Any questions on just the base? All right. So you will see Employee Center Pro provides a lot more additional things. So I'm going to hand it over to Corey to just go deeper into it.
Yeah, so I am going to take over sharing. And bear with me as I go through this process. We all know this fun stuff with Zoom, our new Zoom world. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. I'm going to tee up this slideshow. You guys should be seeing Employee Communications with Employee Center Pro slide.
Yep.
Let me know if you're having. Okay, great. So before I go in, I just want to set a little context. First, to kind of introduce the product for anyone who doesn't know Content Experiences, which really is kind of the driving product within Employee Center Pro that enables communications. The other thing I want to say before we really dive into the demo is I'll be running very new features. You guys are going to get a kind of a sneak peek behind the curtain of a lot of major November features. So bear with any, like this is like dev and hardening time for us. We're actually finishing up all our work. So you're going to get to see a very early look before, this isn't like pretty sales demos. We're just going to go in and we're going to like configure some stuff. So that's what my role here is today. And I'm going to go ahead and jump in. You are absolutely welcome to throw into the Q&A any questions, any feature feedback, anything you want, and we will happily comment and or respond. All right, so I think the first thing we need to do here is just get a little bit familiar with what is Content Experiences. So Content Experiences is actually a product built on top of the Now platform, and it's really geared towards doing exactly what Pooja was talking about. It's meant to communicate out to employees and meet them where they are at the right time. And it's that proactive reach out, right? Driving program engagement, informing employees, preventing problems, and driving priority tasks and urgency among the workforce. Obviously, all of these things are hypercritical now in a post-pandemic world where we've got remote hybrid workforces all over the globe. And so we can do that cross app and channel. So, we have mobile, email, we support obviously portal, that's going to be a heavy emphasis today, tasking, as well as third-party app integrations. Like I said, we will focus on portal today, but just keep in mind that this is cross-channel communication capabilities. We also support decentralized and centralized organizations. So some organizations have a fully governing centralized corporate communications organization that kind of handles all the content and communications that go out. They govern what is ultimately being shown to employees and have, standards for anything that goes out. In other instances, some companies don't have that centralized organization capability. Sometimes it's just the IT department or just the HR department. Really, anyone who's running our ServiceNow apps do have the capability of sending out communications on behalf of their organization, whether or not this corporate communications layer is in place. And what are the types of communications that can go out? Well, obviously, really timely announcements, recurring announcements, things that are kind of date-based, we absolutely support, and you'll see a little bit of that today. If you need to drive extra urgency, you can combine your communications with tasking to offer a really kind of powerful way of saying, hey, we need you to sign this policy or watch this learning content, right? So there are many use cases where tasking can really drive that extra urgency to the employee base when you really need something from them. And then we even have a dynamic capability where you can set content up to be triggered based on a certain criteria being met. And we do that through audiences. Our audiences are meant to target employees based on a criteria such as where are they located, what is their role, which brand do they serve in, right? Which part of the organization? A great example might be a Disney, where you have Disney, you have Pixar, you have ESPN, even things as low level as benefits and the type of hardware that your employees are running, Mac versus PC, HMO versus PPO. So anything that can be captured as an HR profile or a user profile criteria can be targeted towards. And here's some quick facts. So this product has actually been around for a long time. It's since the London release, right around 2017, 2018 timeframe. We've gone through some branding changes. So if you've been with ServiceNow for a long time, you might know us as content delivery, content automation, campaigns. All of these this terminology has been used over time, but we have now moved away from that terminology, and our app suite is called Content Experiences. And then there's some different ones I'll show you here in a minute. We're available on the ServiceNow store. So we don't release via the family anymore. We release on our ServiceNow store, which gives us quarterly releases. But we have compatibility up to a certain kind of family release timeframe. And then all new features that are released on the store ultimately get trued up with the kind of the latest release that is coming along. And so if you're still running family releases and not upgrading from the store, that's fine. You will get our features over time. It'll just roll out a little slower. We talked a little bit about this. So Content Experiences comes as part of Employee Center Pro, and that includes if you have HR Service Delivery Professional or Enterprise, and then there is an Employee Center Pro standalone package as well. So this is if you are entitled to any of those things and or are a prior customer of our Employee Service Center product, you are entitled to Employee Center Pro. And these are the apps that I was talking about, our Content Experiences suite of apps. Content Publishing, I will show you today. Content Experiences is where you add kind of that multi-stage, multifaceted capability for doing much more broad and complex marketing, internal marketing, and program notifications, communications. Content Publishing is more geared towards building, creating, and managing your content with some light scheduling capabilities. So I'll be showing that today. The other thing that I'm going to show is Content Governance. This is new. I have a little bit of an outdated slide. It's not coming August 22. It came August 22. It is here. And I'm going to be showing our November version of Content Governance, but this adds an end-to-end request tracking and fulfillment flow that I'm excited to show you today. And then, of course, any engagement, any content that's being published, especially through our campaigns functionality, has the ability to show engagement metrics through our content analytics plugin. And to build on what Pooja was saying earlier, now that we're talking about Employee Center Pro and what Content Experiences delivers, you can see all the content types that are available that we can deliver. I just want to note that we're not a knowledge or catalog building application. We are going to be offering some more long-form content in the vein of knowledge, and I'm going to show you that today. But as you guys think about building out knowledge, building out catalog, and assigning that to topics or delivering that via your portal experience, think of our application as the one that's going to announce that stuff and link to it. Not necessarily, you're not necessarily building knowledge through us. Now, we, as I'm going to show here in a minute, we are absolutely working with customers to understand their needs, and there is absolutely a need to deliver more rich content that is more kind of long form and manually curated as part of your kind of communications capabilities. And so, like I said, we're really excited to show that to you today. And so that brings us to our product demo. I'm just going to do a quick pause here. Basically this demo is going to go into using content governance and content publishing to build out that kind of end-to-end capability that I was talking about. We're going to work as a content requester to request content. We're going to work as a content manager to build it, and then ultimately publish it onto Employee Center Pro. And like I said, several of these features are actually November 22 store release features. So you are getting a peek behind the curtain into a kind of a test environment where we're just gonna click through and configure some of this stuff. So cool. So before I do that, just anything going on in the chat or the Q&A, Pooja, that I should address?
No, this is good. Nothing open right now. Okay.
Sounds good. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my demo instance. And the first thing I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm working from the perspective of two different personas. One is Abe Lincoln. he's our content requester. And Abe really is kind of like doing some stuff on the portal. This is our homepage. And Abe is a manager. So Abe is kind of like looking through for some details around certain things. And Abe is also responsible for travel policies. And, you know, Abe works in HR and is responsible for the travel stuff that ultimately drives how employees utilize their travel benefits and things. And what Abe's done is he's gone into this onboarding topic, which is under HR. And here, I'll just kind of hop into HR real quick. So our topic pages, our topic taxonomy has this dynamic capability of delivering a page that shows subtopic links, as well as knowledge and catalog and applications related to that topic. And what Abe did was he went into onboarding for a totally different reason. And he noticed something. It was like, oh, wow, there's this section of content here. Prior to the November release, these pages are fully dynamic, and it's really all about just assigning your catalog and knowledge articles and the applications associated with these topics. But what if I really wanted to highlight something bigger and better, you know, and just kind of have control over what I'm going to show for any given time? Well, with the new November release, we can now do that. We can add in manually curated content, such as this onboarding section right here. We call this rich content. So on the HR page within travel and relocation, you can see we don't have that rich content. That doesn't exist yet. And so Abe is like, well, how am I able to do something like that and publish that kind of content? Well, here's how. So one of the things you might have noticed when I was on this homepage that had all, it has all these different widgets and information available is this new content request form. Now, this is an out-of-the-box request that your organization can utilize. And what it does is it gives the Abes of the world the ability to say, hey, I really want, to kind of manage and work with the content team or the communications team to deliver that kind of content. And you can see that, I can select things here. This is plain English. It's not necessarily connected to the back end. We want our employee users, our employee requesters, to make it easy to say, here's what I really want. And then the content management and communications teams can really handle it from there. So I'm going to go down to this new topic content section and say, hey, I want one of those kinds of things. And I'm going to say, let's put it on the travel and relocation page. Now, we work with audiences. As I explained before, we can target audiences. And so one of the things that we want to do is make sure that, we're targeting appropriately and that maybe there's like a start date. And I'm just going to, start to really kind of go through this flow. A couple extra things to note is that if you are a global company and have multiple languages to support, I can select which languages that I want. All of our content within Content Experiences is translatable, and there's a really nice experience for translating content, previewing it, and even tweaking it before it goes live. I can add any additional information. I can add a URL for if you want to request a banner or a certain link over to something. And I can even add attachments. If you've got more kind of robust requirements, build out a Word document, add your images, and add it as an attachment. I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And now Abe has made his content request. And so we're going to go ahead and switch on over to a different user. Now, Able Tutor here is going to be working with the back end. So Abel's on the communications team, and he's going to be responsible for responding to this new content request. Okay, so what Abe's going to do is go into his content governance app and just see all the unassigned requests that just came in. Now, here's one. It's brand new. This is the one we just submitted. For our purposes today, we're going to go ahead and just leave Able as the one who's kind of working on this content. You can set up different folks within your assignment groups at different levels, admins versus managers. And we're just going to go ahead and kind of review the information that's been submitted. And then what's really important with this submission is that a new content request item has been submitted or automatically generated. And each of these items are going to be associated to a content. Now, imagine a world where a parent request comes in and it's got, multifaceted, needs for different content, mobile, video, and portal. So you can create new content items as associated with these request items. Whoops, I didn't save that. Let me save this real quick. And then I'm going to come into my content request item itself. Now, what's going to happen here is I'm going to start to get to work as Able Tutor, right? So I'm going to make sure that I am assigned to this request item, and I'm going to go ahead and put the state into work in progress. You can't change these states until a certain amount of work has been completed. So I'm going to save that. And once I've hit this state of work in progress and it's been assigned out, now I can get to work on my content. Now we have two options here. If this is a year-over-year program, I can clone an existing piece and just update it for these purposes, or I can create something new. Now this launches us right into the content creation flow. You can see that as the content manager has all these different options. There's even additional integrations such as Microsoft Teams and Facebook Workplace. If you need additional content types, we have those integrations. And then there's these different content items on the back end. Styled content is like a no-code announcement builder or banner builder. We've got videos, we've got events is a really popular one for showing up events and kind of letting people download calendar items. But today we're going to focus on rich content, that area that allows me to kind of, as a non-technical user, to go in and build out something similar to what you saw on the onboarding page. So I'm gonna click into this rich content, and now what this has done is this has assigned this piece of content to that request. And I'm going to go ahead and get into this brand new rich content editor. This is what we call it. It's a rich content editor, and it gives me this canvas that is wired up to our portal, or will be wired up to our portal, to deliver that more long form content. And I'm going to just start dragging some stuff in. That is a kind of a column layout builder. You can see the different types of content types that we are enabling, even our component types blocks within this interface. It's drag and drop. I'm going to add, I have two things that I want to announce to start. I want to announce a policy update and maybe some holiday travel tricks. So I've just added this image, and I want to make a couple adjustments here. I'm gonna tell the image to be 80% wide. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell the layout here to adjust. And that gives me a kind of a 70%. I'm going to make sure that I've got the 30% here. And then the image will adjust within itself. So now I've got this nice little clean section for which I can build out some additional stuff. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to drag in some text, and then I'm going to drag in a button. Now with this button, I'm just going to make a couple of quick updates under the property section here. I want to give it a label, learn more, and give it maybe a URL. Obviously, this can be an internal link or an external link, and I can tell it where to target this window or a new window. The other thing I want to do is I just want to add a little margin here to the top, make sure that it's got some nice spacing between the text. And then I'm good to go there. Now, for our text, I want to go ahead and give this a title. This one is going to be, we have an updated policy. And then you know what? I will just go ahead and copy and paste some additional text in to this section. And we've got our first block here. So it's starting to look good. It's coming together. You can see how quick and easy I am building out this content. But guess what? It gets even a little easier. The first thing I'm going to do is I want to create another section, and I want to add divider in between them. So I'm going to take this divider and I'm going to give this a little space as well. It's just, it's just kind of typing in your values here, and you can see the spacing adjust. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here. I want to highlight one other thing, and I can now make a copy of this, and then I can drag it below this divider and tell it where to land. Boom, now we have a second one. And now I can go in, and this can be my holiday tricks and tips. All right. Now, I'm going to add in just a little more text. And one thing I'll highlight here, and this is something, before I do that, let me just go ahead and delete this image and drag in a new image, and we'll get to the kind of the finality of where we want to go. Select that drops in, give it its value of 80%, and now we're in business. One other thing I wanted to highlight is that these are kind of tied to these are a little bit tied to how your portal renders, text and colors and things like that. But if I want to make changes to that, I absolutely can by selecting my, my text block, and then I can change the size. So we'll just do like a real big one. And you can see that got bigger. Lots of little things you can do. You can change color, text color, font weight, bold things, make it italics, you name it. There's a lot of different styling options, and we'll be adding a lot more over time. So we are literally just scratching the surface of what's possible here, including even pre-built templates and layouts that you guys can go in and update with just some simple, quick and easy tweaks versus building from scratch. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and save that. I've now just built out a nice section of content for my page, and now it's time for me to publish that. Now, as part of my publishing plan, I need to kind of remember my request or go back to that. I can always go back to my request if needed. I'm going to give this a little detail. And now what I'm doing here is I'm basically telling that content where should it live and who should see it and for what time. So I'm coming, this is still our content publishing app. I'm coming in and I'm just giving it kind of the right location. Within this topic taxonomy page, that is our dynamic topic page, I can now tell where this content should live. We're going to say the travel topic. There it is. I can even, before I even publish this, I can see what this might look like live on the portal. So remember our travel and relocation page, the content manager now has this new thing that they want to publish. And look, it looks, it looks really nice. So this looks great. I'm good with this. Sorry, I've got Zoom Chrome in the way. Okay, coming back. It looks great. I'm going to add that audience of US employees just like requested. And our audiences can be built around any sort of criteria like I talked about earlier, role, brand, direct reports versus not, even location, things like that. I'm going to go ahead and say employees. And then the requirement was to publish this on October 3rd. Once I have saved this, now we have the opportunity to send this back to Abraham for review. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click this button right here. Now, what did that just do? That basically sent out a to-do to Abraham to review what was made and the details of the scheduling, but also it kind of locked down everything to keep it from being changed so that Abraham is basically looking at the right thing. So why don't I do this? I'm going to go ahead and impersonate Abraham again. And I'm going to come back to the home page. And now I have a task that shows this, this content request and that Able Tutor has completed, or at least gotten to a point to where I can review it. So I'm looking at the details here. It's on my travel page. It's in the right spot. right topic. It's going out at 10:03 and it's the right audience. This is looking great. The other thing I can do is I can preview my content right here. So now I'm like, I'm the requester, kind of just giving it a quick once over. If there's something wrong with it, I can always go back to my requests and send feedback. I can send work notes back to the content manager who's working on this. I can give them feedback and say, hey, this looks great. But what I'm going to do for now, just for time purposes, I'm going to go ahead and click ready for publish. What this does is actually, I should jump over here. This is where, you know what, I'll just add something in. Looks great. Ship it. Post that goes to Abel. Abel's happy, and then I can basically say this is ready for publish. And what that does is that puts the state of the request into ready for publish, and then I can go ahead as Abel and finish that job. So I'm gonna just hop back into the back end here, see my work. Let's go into the content request that just came back. And let's see, this is the one. No, this isn't the one. Yes, this is the one. Okay. So yeah, it's ready for publish. It's good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the request itself. Just double check on everything. Abraham, yeah, like I said, Abraham sent me this. Looks great. Ship it. So I'm going to go ahead and view the content and finalize the publishing. Now, normally what I would do is go ahead and actually, let me go back. Ready to publish. I'm going to hit publish. And now it's ready to go. Okay, so theoretically, this content has now been reviewed, signed off on, and now it's in a published state to where when that date is met, that was originally requested, it will go live. Now, just for demo purposes, because I can't, unfortunately, I can't time travel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into here, and I'm going to activate this content item. It's just a copy. And I'm going to go ahead and activate this. So imagine that was our content item that basically hit its start date. And then I'm going to come back to the portal, and it's fine. I can come back as Abel for now and come into my travel and relocation. And now that section is there. So you've just seen in about 20 minutes, I created an entire end-to-end workflow with drag and drop content capabilities. Now, this will not stop here. This is what's called a rich content widget. It can be added to any portal page and targeted to any portal page for where that rich content lives. And in future releases, not only are we going to improve the feature set on the rich content editor, but we're going to add multiple use cases around this. Imagine having tabs here that could hide and reveal employee handbook policy information. Tabs are coming. Imagine where I could drag a pre-built layout of this kind of vertical feed versus maybe that the other feed that we saw on the onboarding page, and then you just swap out that content. So those are some of the future features that we're doing, and then in general, we will be hooking this up to additional content types. One of the biggest ones you'll see for 23 is news. So imagine being able to create news articles with all this content capability, the imagery, the videos, the text, to better inform employees with associated widgets for the homepage right out of the box. So all that is coming on top of this rich content editor, and you all have been some of the first customers to see this in action. And with that, that's my demo.
Thank you, Corey. We've been getting so much excitement on the chat. Like, people are saying this will make it so easy. Like, they've been trying to do something that you've been showing with other widgets, and this will eliminate the need for it. So a lot of excitement around it.
Good.
I'm so happy to hear that as well. One thing that people have been asking is, could you clarify what part is coming in November and what will be called in the demo that you showed and what is currently available?
Yeah. So you know what? Probably the best idea is I'm just going to pull up that one slide right here and just reiterate. So everything that you just saw was content governance and content publishing are, two of our core apps. We didn't get a chance to see campaign building with content experiences, but that is also a really powerful app, probably for another day. But what you just saw was the November release for rich content editor as part of content publishing, as well as it's basically our second version of content governance. Content governance was released in August, but what you just saw was kind of a more streamlined flow from the November store release. So it's really that rich content editing and widget that we published to the topic page, as well as some key streamlining features within content governance that will be there in November. So it's a good point to just reiterate, because if you were to install content governance for the August release, there's going to be a few things missing as far as the flow that you saw today. But otherwise, a lot of that functionality, the targeting, the audience building, the scheduling, the really easy to use interface for kind of selecting your content through our content library, all of that is available. All of it is pretty much compatible with Roam, with including translations and all that kind of rich functionality that I talked about earlier in that original slide.
Perfect. Thanks, Corey. And other question that I've seen come up a few times now is, can they try this out on a PDI?
I'm sorry, on a what?
On a personal developer instance?
Oh, I'm not sure where we are in that.
I think they should be able to. I haven't tested the new functionality, but in general, the EC Pro capabilities are available on PDI. And if there are any gaps, we will follow up, but they should be available. Oh, great. So someone has already tested content governance on PDI. So perfect. You can do it.
Great.
The other question that I saw come up was the governance flow, the approval flow. Is it going back to the individual? Can it be assigned to a group? What are the flexibility around that?
I would love to hear more feedback around that. So for what I showed you, it just goes back to the requester, that person that filled out the form. We are literally in the process of planning, adding that additional capability of adding additional approvers or even reviewers, folks who might just want to take a look at the content but might not necessarily sign off on it, versus actually having additional folks sign off on it. So that is absolutely coming. That will be our February release. And I would love to hear if any of you think groups or other types of scenarios, like one person out of this group has to approve and then everyone's approved, or would you settings for multiple folks, or even chained approvals. All of those are on the table. Would love to hear any feedback you have. And you can absolutely bet on February having some semblance of adding additional approvers and or reviewers.
Nice. I'm seeing some comments on yes, all of them. But if there's,
of course. But what's the most important?
Yeah, please feel free to raise your hand and we'll take you off mute.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, let me see if I have. Okay, there's someone raising hand. Okay. Has to unmute. Michael, you should be able to talk.
All right. Hello. I had a thought about, what about conditional approvals on the basis of the audience chosen? The wider and wider the audience you choose, the more layers of potential approval, and the need to look at things through the lens of conflict and timing.
Yeah, so that's a really great point, and that is the future of content governance. I think our designers and engineers will be happy to hear this kind of thinking, because that's what we're talking about. We are talking about a future where content governance has pre-built workflows based on either the audience type, it might be the type of communication or the channel. It could be about location. So we really do see this as a future kind of automated workflow engine for different types of approvals based on the scenario. So we are a ways away from that. I can't promise that that's going to be in the next release or even next year, but that's where all this is going. And this is why it's important for us to get this stuff out now and get feedback from customers and how they might want to use it. And really, what are the most important use cases around those things? But absolutely, that's where we're headed. You hit it. You hit the nail on the head.
Thanks, Michael and Corey. So we are almost running out of time. I guess we can take one more question, which is again a little bit of like futuristic and vision is, so I have someone asking, can I aggregate content from SharePoint and other CMS into the content experiences widget to provide more like a unified communication?
That's interesting. So we do have SharePoint connectors for searching SharePoint content within Employee Center Pro, but we don't really have like an integration to kind of pull in that data. I'd love to hear more about what would be useful about that. That would be something to follow up.
Can we tag external pages? That one way could be to get to SharePoint.
Say that again.
Can we tag as the task button, like an external page to SharePoint?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we can always link to them, but that sounded much more of like embedding within the widget itself. So so we can absolutely link to any SharePoint site or any external page that you have outside of ServiceNow. Absolutely. We can link
and aggregate
to anything. Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you so much. I do see there are some open questions. We will get back to you on those. And the recording link will be available. It takes about a few days, like 2 to 3 days for us to get those ready. So please keep an eye on the community link for this event, and we'll make sure the recording and the slides and the Q&A is available over there. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Corey, for the demo and leading the discussion. And all of you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. That was awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.